focus. I'm a professional. It's currently raining outside, which means it's perfect weather to be moody and angsty with a cup of coffee. Anyways, so I've been actually wanting to make this video for a really long time now, and it's just, I just haven't had the time or the confidence to make this video for the past like 5 months. I've written like a script for this like 7 times over. Like I swear I've made so many like scripts of like what I wanted to do for like this video of like the same topic sort of. I'm just too camera shy, you know? So I haven't done anything about it in a long time, and I finally got the courage and the time to sit down and write something and film it. Oh my god, this is revolutionary. Okay, now I don't have this specific title, but it should, but in editing I'll figure it out, and it'll like pop up on the screen somewhere. It'll be glorious. To any of you who are wondering why I'm wearing this fur coat, because it's really fucking cold in Canada in September. And I'm going to be talking very badly because this is my first time making a YouTube video, so you guys are witnessing a historical moment. The debut of a star. You guys are fucking privileged, my god. Part 1. The need for individualism. Okay class, get your textbooks out. I'm about to talk about some very deep things. I'm using big girl words like individualism, democracy, and collectivism. Very smart words. Might need a dictionary for that. I'm going to read a quote from de Tocqueville. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I should know. I studied French for 6 years, I think, but I still can't speak it. I'm going to read a quote from the French politician named Alex. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. And it's from his book Democracy in America. For the last 50 years, no pains have been spared to convince the inhabitants of the United States that they are the only religious, enlightened, and free people. Why am I doing a British accent? He's French. They perceive that for the present, and their own democratic institutions prosper, while those of other countries fail. Hence, they receive a high opinion of their superiority, and they are not very remote in believing themselves to be a distinct species of mankind. So individualism has been a part of American culture and society for a long time now. It's actually just been one of the core values of American culture, or in general Western culture, because that's kind of dictated by America now. I mean, of course individualism is an important part of American culture. Basically, the entire American Revolution was basically just based on Americans saying, fuck you, Europe, we're different, we're quirky, we don't like tea. No, I can't exactly speak to America because I'm Canadian. But I can speak to my experience living in North America myself, because it is actually just because Canada is basically the United States, but better. Like, you guys don't have igloos. What the fuck are you doing? Individualism basically means putting the individual first. In Alex de Tocqueville's one of his book Democracy in America, he's actually one of the first people to actually give a definition to the word individualism. He defines it as personal values, freedom, dignity, happiness, and personal interests as individualism. So basically, So basically, individualism can be seen as a pursuit of happiness and personal value. Individualism is very capitalistic. It's very thinking of your own needs and what you're doing to provide for yourself, in opposed to, let's say, socialism, where everyone is working for the greater good of the community. Individualism has become one of those things that define Western culture, I'd say. I say that's actually one of the main differences between Eastern and Western cultures, is that in Western cultures they identify more and they value more individualistic ideas and values. I used the word values twice. I have a very small lexicon. And then, so what Alexis Tocqueville said in his book Democracy in America directly correlates individualism to happiness. Now, if that is true, if we're assuming that is true, then collectivism, which is the antithesis of individualism, would be the pursuit of sadness and depression. It does make sense why people in our culture want to be different, why everybody tries to be different. I don't know if this actually makes sense because I wrote this. I'm not very literate, so yeah. So what I was trying to say is that people are trying to be different because they believe that by being different, that will make them happier, that will make them more successful. And differentness and uniqueness is almost directly correlated with success and money and fame these days. Like if you're different, if you're unique, then you must be successful in some way. Like, I'm so quirky. I put my socks on my head. That means I am a millionaire. That was a bad joke. Why did it... Anyways. So now for everybody's favorite part of the video, I'm going to be talking about K-pop. Part 2. You're not special. So whenever something becomes popular, there seems to be a trend where when one thing becomes popular, it suddenly gets a whole lot of criticism, a lot of backlash, because it simply has just entered the mainstream, and there's a whole lot of fucking people now who are willing to hate it and rip it apart viscerally based on nothing whatsoever except for the fact that it's popular, and that is cringe. So a good example of this is K-pop actually. When it first became popular in sort of the Western side of the world, it was around, like, I'd say the summer of 2018, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure. So in 2018, because before that, liking K-pop because before that, I think liking K-pop was an obscure and indie thing, almost, like you were like special, and like, ooh, so cool. It became very popular in 2018, I think. It was really popular. It became really popular among young girls, like teenage girls to like maybe early 20s, I'd say. And suddenly, it was also getting a lot of like hate for it. Like it was equal amounts of passion, love, and hate. Like a lot of people, because of popularity it was getting, just assumed that it was bad, sort of. Okay, so here's this thing, like people like hating popular things because they think it makes them look cool or like special or quirky. And that was the same case for K-pop. People felt like it was too popular. A lot of people liked it. Nobody wanted to be those screaming K-pop stans. I've had friends who were genuinely just ashamed of liking K-pop. Like they would not broadcast at all that they would like K-pop because, you know, like the entire like online presence of K-pop people didn't want to be associated with that. Those kinds of people who liked K-pop, because that was the entire like negative impression of them online in general. I've had friends who were ashamed of liking K-pop. I've had Asian friends who would like very vocally say that they did not like K-pop. Me, I did not like K-pop. I still don't like K-pop. It's just not my thing. Not very into pop music. But I remember specifically there was a time in my life, it was around 2017, 2018, where I adamantly was against liking K-pop because I thought it was the most fucking annoying thing on the planet to like K-pop. So a lot of people hated K-pop, or at least openly said that they hated K-pop because of the negative connotations there was to liking K-pop. And a lot of those people who adamantly hated K-pop were grown men, which kind of gross if you ask me. I mean, a lot of it was toxic masculinity, making fun of K-pop singers for how they looked, how the Korean beauty standards for guys is, sort of. And a lot of it was also just misogyny, disliking things that girls, teenage girls in specific, liked because it was immature, silly. And a lot of other people did it because it made them feel special, it made them feel different. Here's the thing, you're not, because there's always going to be people who think the same as you. Like, liking K-pop was not a very controversial opinion at this point. Like, honestly, enough people have come out and said their piece about it. It's like beating a dead horse at this point, saying that you hate K-pop. So you think you're diverging from the herd because you're like hating K-pop and you're not like the other people. You're the wolf, not the sheep. But here's the thing, you're not the only person who hates K-pop. You never were. There are lots of people who hate the same thing as you. And as soon as you leave one herd, you're basically joining another. You're never going to have a completely unique opinion, and trying to do that is stupid. Now, the entire thing kind of went like full circle because, as I said before, now hating K-pop is not a very controversial opinion. It was back in maybe like 2018, maybe 2017, maybe early even 2019, but now really not. It's just a widely accepted thing now. Like, K-pop is a thing now. People like it, people hate it. It's just accept it. Stop being such a party pooper and hating on other people's things. Oh my god. Like, as soon as it wasn't a sort of like super extreme opinion, it became not fashionable, I guess that would be the word, or not contrarian enough to be said as an opinion. It just kind of, it didn't resonate with the core group of people who vocally said that they didn't like K-pop, which I would assume is like men in general, specifically like probably like boys, like teenage boys to like maybe early 20s. Now, I'm not saying that it was only men who adamantly hated K-pop because it was popular. Lots of girls were like that too. Asian girls specifically. A lot of Asian girls, because of the negative connotation with like K-pop fans and girls who liked K-pop, a lot of them just purposely hid what they liked, or just actually even worse, would pretend that they hated it because they thought it was just absolutely abhorrent to be associated with K-pop. Which is really sad because I don't think anybody should be ashamed to like what they like. Like, you shouldn't care about how like special your music taste is, especially like girls who just purposely try to be different. It's just, stop it, it's exhausting. I've been there before. I was one of those girls. Honestly, I think every girl has went through this entire life, but it's exhausting. Like, is it not? Like, trying to be so special all the time. But like, yeah, sometimes I just want to listen to a dumb pop song, okay? Like, sometimes I will put on Taylor Swift because I like it. I like the way my brain cells feel when I listen to her songs. I think why people have this negative connotation with popular things is because of the individual idea that American values are associated with. Like, individualism is good, being different is good, being unique is good, being like everyone else is bad. There's things that are not different or are just completely mainstream that are good. A lot of things are mainstream because it's good. Like bread. Everybody likes bread. Are you going to not eat bread because you want to be quirky and different? Bread is amazing, and it's really popular because it is amazing. I'm just talking in circles here, so I'm gonna yeah, this part is over. Next part. I just realized that entire last part was out of focus, and now I'm testing the focus again. Why does it keep not focusing? I'm so bad at making coffee. It's actually like incredible. Part 3, Basic Girls and the Double Standards for Femininity. So there's this quote that I actually read from this PDF article from this guy named Zhang Yuxuan, I think, if I'm pronouncing it right. Zhang Yuxuan. So basically the quote is, I'm going to read it out loud now, class, take notes. I should get my glasses for this. Where are my reading glasses? So, individualism is the emotion of one's own interest and peace of mind. It focuses on self-reliance and free development of personality. Very insightful, thank you. So, the part I want to focus on is that it emphasizes on self-reliance and free development of personality. Now, it wouldn't be a video about rejecting the mainstream if I didn't talk about the basic girl. Now, the basic girl is something that changes over the course of a few years, or even months, I'd say. Like, it depends on what time in history you are, what type of basic girl you are. Like, back in the Elizabethan era, pale skin, a really pale skin, smallpox scars, so fucking basic. That was entirely not accurate historically. Okay. Anyways, a few years ago, a basic girl would be categorized as, let's say, probably like wearing Uggs, loves Starbucks, and probably has a poodle. I don't know, I wasn't alive a few years ago. And a few months ago, not a few months ago, like maybe like a year ago, we'd say like the Visco girl was like the basic. Like everybody was a Visco girl, and Visco girl was like the most popular type of girl. And like, oh my gosh, she loved her hydro flask, her scrunchies, and like her shell chokers. I have one of those in my drawer. This is too old fashioned. I'm sorry, I'm just too old. I'm 47, turning 47 this year, so I think pearls are just not in with the young generation. I'm not gonna get my shell choker to get into the mood for this. If you're hearing like vacuuming noise, I apologize. My parents are vacuuming downstairs. Yes, I indeed am 37 and still living with my parents. I'm a failure. Visco girls, their hydro flask, their scrunchies, their shell chokers, and their criticism, all the criticism they garnered from becoming popular and mainstream. Oh my god, all of it. It's just so many people make fun of them. I almost feel bad I made fun of them too, honestly. But okay, so as soon as it became a trend to be like Visco girls and whatever, I have pet birds, just so you know. I think, sure, the Visco girl is silly and kind of stupid, kind of dumb, but a lot of the criticism was just like, a lot of it was overdone, I think, personally. So, I think there's this culture around criticizing whatever like teenage girls get into, especially around like TikTok, I think, like e-girls, Visco girls, cosplayers, furries. I don't know, I'm not on TikTok, I'm too old. I'm like 67. One thing I have noticed on TikTok is with the bra girls versus the hey girly girls on TikTok. I've seen those. I've watched compilations on YouTube. I actually don't even have the app downloaded on my phone. And it was the height of stupidity. I think a lot of my brain cells died, which is not good because I'm very old. I can't be risking it in my brain cells. So that was unfortunate. But unlike all the other trends where I could say it's like kind of harmless to do like be a Visco girl, like pretty harmless, nobody cares. E-girls, great, nobody cares. But the entire like bra girl versus hey girly girl trend, like oh my god, terrible. The whole idea of those like TikToks is that it's based on sort of internalized misogyny, I think. So I think the main problem with bra girls for me, or like the entire concept of comparing these two types of girls, is that it's basically looking down on femininity as like weak or undesirable. Like they're making all these TikToks about like how bro girls are more chill, more relaxed, they're not as fussy, low maintenance. They're basically propping up this sort of male fantasy of a girl. Like, it's like the cool girl monologue from Gone Girl. I've heard that so many times. I think that's the entire persona of the bro girl, and the entire movie is just deconstructing of how that is purely a male fantasy, and no, like people and girls shouldn't be propping that up. Like, I've seen all these TikToks about like girls saying like, oh, bro girls are low maintenance. We like getting into fights with guys. Probably formulate my words. This is gonna be fucking hell to edit. Oh my god.
I actually wrote a script for this video, so this just shows how bad I am at speaking.
All these girls are listening to things that bro girls like, and they're trying to make them seem like low maintenance or like cool sort of thing. Like we're so cool. We like being called stupid. I'm not fucking joking. There's so many TikToks of like bro girls being like, love is being called stupid, dummy. Essentially, girls having basically internalized misogyny of thinking that being more masculine is better, like, or being more feminine is equivalent to weak, high maintenance, which is already stereotyped and perpetuated by men and the mainstream media. We don't need it to be perpetuated on TikTok. Thank you very much. That's my problem with these TikToks, because they're basically just girls affirming these dumb male fantasies.
It is at this point that the noise downstairs got very, very loud, and I couldn't really speak without having the background noise sort of overpowering me. So I'm going to take the chance to explain what this has to do with the main point exactly, about how we are trying too hard to be individualistic and rejecting mainstream. So basically, a lot of these like bra girls, for example, they assume that girly girls are the mainstream, and in rejecting that, they are being individualistic themselves. Does that make sense, class? That was a very wordy sentence, I'm sorry, but the main problem with this type of behavior of making fun of traditional femininity is that it is not actually a rejection of traditional femininity. It is instead a rejection of the mainstream, because they are seeing traditionally feminine girls as the mainstream.
Girls are already criticized for being too feminine. Like, I used to be made fun of in elementary school for wearing skirts because she's dressing up too much. She looks like a girl. How dare she? Like, ever since a very young age, girls are taught that being a boy is better. In general, a lot of girls are criticized for being too feminine. Like, ever since we were little, ever since we were little, we would say like, oh, blue is my favorite color, because we didn't want to seem too like the other girls if we said pink. But in general, I think a lot of us did like pink, and we're just too afraid to admit it. This shaming and rejection of femininity by society, because it is not just boys, as proven by bra girls, this whole TikTok thing in general. It's also done by girls who shame other girls for being too feminine or being more feminine than them. And I think it's been conditioned into girls by society that, oh, being masculine is more valued, or being masculine is better, or being masculine will make other guys like you more. So what I was trying to say in this entire part with so many interruptions, my brain cannot function anymore, is to just stop it. Just stop, okay? Girls shouldn't be trying to become less feminine, that's point one, to become more likable to guys. Point two, we as a society need to stop shaming more traditionally feminine girls and embrace femininity and not see femininity as inherently weak. And point three, I don't think I had a point three. Did I have a point three? Point three, trends such as visco girls, e-girls, or just being a basic bitch. Trying to follow those trends, trying to develop a personality. Those things are completely normal, and people should not make fun of other people for following trends. To be honest, which they shouldn't. It's quite funny, but when it gets to a certain point, not that funny anymore. So those are my 3 points. I don't know if that was well worded or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the conclusion, and I'm feeling a little bit sick from this coffee. Tastes pretty bad, because I made it myself. In conclusion, everyone should just do whatever they want. Like, there shouldn't be any rules, boundaries, or whatever. In conclusion, it is good to be individualistic. That is not what I'm harping on in this entire thing. My thing is being individualistic. The thing I don't like is that being individualistic somehow is correlated to hating things that other people like, which I don't agree with. I don't really agree with that philosophy. I think we need to stop centering our personalities on things that we hate rather than we should instead center it on things that we like. Basically, my point is that everybody should just do whatever they want to do, whether you want to be the most basic bitch ever or you want to be the most weirdest person ever. Just do whatever you want as long as it's not harming anybody. And so we should those in the video. I think that was pretty good. We'll see. If it's not very good, I will cry. I spent like an hour filming. I had to change out the battery ones. I just keep talking. Yeah, that's the end, folks. See you next time.